So up next, we've got Winston Davis, CEO and founder of Move Up Consulting, a leading recruiting firm in the moving and storage industry. Winston's going to share a step-by-step framework for onboarding new movers and drivers to the team to increase retention and company culture buy-in. So with that, there we go. Winston, how we doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. All yours. Take it away and let's get after it, Winston.
Sweet. Thanks, Ryan. Real quick, just a quick thing on me. My wife and I, Rebecca, she's a really great artist. We live in Virginia. We've got a 5-month-old boy. It's our first kid. So we're figuring out how to be new parents. Harder than running a business. So if you have kids, then you relate. But I'm going to talk about what I think is probably the biggest problem that comes to my desk. I own a recruiting agency for the moving industry, and the biggest problem that actually comes to us is, I think, not even recruiting. It's more about retaining top talent. And it's the gross turnover that our industry experiences. So I'm going to talk about a process. I'm going to give you a 5-step system to follow, to build out, so that way you can, one, identify bad apples sooner, because one of the biggest mistakes business owners make is that they keep the wrong people way too long. And to be quite honest, great employees don't have a tolerance for slackers and low quality people in the business. And so they end up leaving too, and you're stuck with just the bad apples, which stinks. So let's run through it. We talked about the problem of being high turnover. How do I increase the retention of my crew? And we're mainly talking about here your movers and drivers. Sure, you could apply this to all types of employees, but really our moving team. So we are going to talk about an onboarding system, specifically something that I've crafted out called the hourly onboarding system. And it's different than training. Training is far more technical based. It's a continuous and ongoing process that it's repetitious, it's routinely, and you're equipping people. Onboarding is different in the sense that it is a short series of steps. There is a kind of an endpoint to onboarding a new person, right? Whereas training, it goes on forever. And onboarding is about how do we engage, solidify, and acclimate the newest person to set them up for success. Okay. So I want you to really make sure you're separating training versus onboarding. We're going to just talk about onboarding. Okay. More of the HR aspect. All right. So your 3 main objectives in onboarding are going to be: 1, set proper expectations. How many times have you hired someone and then on day 1 or 2 or 3, and you're like, what in the literal hell did that person just say, do, or act in front of either a customer, a coworker, or you? And to be honest, it's not necessarily their fault, because you might not have set expectations and standards. The second biggest thing is going to be building the relationship. Okay. The relationship investment is the top investment you can make. Okay. And then the third biggest goal with onboarding is casting the vision for your organization. Okay. We want to focus super heavily on reinforcing that new hire's decision. With today's job market, it's not, you pick them and they ought to be grateful for having a job. It's just not like that anymore. There's a lot of things that somebody could go do to make $20 to $25 an hour. Like, let's be real. Moving is super hard. Why would I want to go make $20 an hour busting my butt moving and lumping furniture when I can make $20 working at Target, or make $20 working at Sam's Club, or $20 at Walmart? So what is different about your business than, the big box stores? What's different than about your business than the Fortune 100 and the Fortune 500 companies? It's got to come down to relationship, how you treat people, and how they feel about working for your business. So we got to reinforce their decision. The other big takeaway, so we talk about reinforcing. The other big thing is we've got to we got to have a strategy on how to know when to cut someone loose and release them from our employment, or whether to continue investing in them. And so I'm going to teach you a model, and it's called, it's really no name to it, but it's just three things to conceptualize. And it's deciding if someone is an asset, if they're a liability, or if it's to be determined, meaning you need more information, because sometimes that's the case. All right. I'm going to give you the biggest tip. You're never going to bat 1,000 in hiring great people. You're going to hire some duds. You're going to hire some wackos, and you can have a really great hiring and recruiting process, but you're going to get it wrong. So what's the next layer to make sure that you don't have the wrong people in the right seats or wrong person in the wrong seat for too long? Okay. So get your notepad out. I'm going to give you the 5 steps. I'm going to talk a little bit on each one, and then we'll wrap up here. So first step is called the first impression meeting. This should be the literal first thing a person does when they come on day one. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 60 minutes. It doesn't matter, but it's that new hire sitting with someone on your leadership team, whether it's you as the owner, a GM, ops manager, someone of authority. And the goals of this meeting is literally the name of it, first impressions. You want to set the tone. You want to create an unparalleled first impression that you are a professional, legitimate operation that cares about people. We want to make people feel chosen, not just hired. You got to really start thinking about what makes you different. Okay. This is not their orientation. You're not sitting there just doing paperwork and going over safety policies and employee handbook. Sure, you're going to have to do that stuff, but this is all about relationship, expectations. How do we get off the ground the right way? All right. Try your best to pick a time that's not overlapping with like morning dispatch. I know it's really hard, but you want to be able to give your undivided attention to that person. And if you're constantly kind of getting up, or you're picking up the phone, or you're talking to somebody across the room, honestly, it just shows that person that you're not 100% there. And another thing that just people get wrong is you bring a new hire into your office, and your office is dirty, it's sloppy, you're not prepared. Like, get those things right, because there is no bigger turnoff to a great hire than you not being prepared as a leader. So you got to come prepared. And all that conversation is, in my opinion, it's setting the stage as far as like reinforcing their decision. What does that look like? Hey, Josh, just want to tell you, you made the right choice. Seriously, you're here at the right time, right place, right time. We've got an amazing team here. You're going to fit in amazingly. We've got tremendous upside, and I see huge things for you. Right? Learn how to get good at communicating to hit the heartstring of a new person, and that's going to help you get past that hump of. I have so many people tell me, they're like, man, I hired him, but he didn't show up on the second day, or they didn't show up after a week. Start asking yourself, why? Why didn't they show back up? It's not always them. It's most of the time you. Reinforce their decision. Identify motivators. Why are they there? What motivates them? Why do they need a paycheck? Figure their motivators out, because if you know what they want, you can start helping them get there. Set expectations and talk about stuff like theft and drug use. One of the biggest losses for all businesses is theft. It's employee theft. Start day one with this stuff. Start hour one. Okay. And then reassure them that this is the right place for them, right company, right position, and really make them feel like they're wanted and chosen, not just, like we said, hired. Okay. And then give them expectations on the rest of the day. That's really your first step. Okay. Step one is that first impression meeting. Step two is going to be at the end of the first day. We call this the reinforcement huddle. This is like a 5 to 10 minute chat. It could be out in the parking lot by their car. It really doesn't need to be formal. And what we're trying to do is we want to intercept that new hire before they go home. Because when they go home, whether they got mom, dad, wife, roommate, girlfriend, whoever that they're going to see that's in their personal circle. I guarantee you that someone is going to ask them, so how was your first day of work? How was your first day on the new job? How was your boss? How'd you like your new job? They're going to ask something like that. And there's going to be probably two sentiments that come out of it. Awesome, or I'm a little concerned, or I don't know about those guys. You want to be the person to ask that question first. And so we want to intercept, think of it like you're going to intercept that person and you ask that question. And there's going to be two things. Either A, it was super positive. You want to reinforce the positive. You want to kind of put some gasoline on the fire, so to speak. Or you might need to diffuse negative things. So if they had concerns or they had an issue or improper expectations, that's your opportunity. Diffuse those negative things, okay? You want to be the last voice in their ear before they retire for the day, okay? So simple thing there. Make sure you probe. They might not give you the truth right away. Probe. Hey, what'd you think about this? How'd you like the person that trained you? How'd you like? Dig a little bit, okay? And the truth will reveal itself, all right? So that's step 2 is the reinforcement huddle, all right? Step 3 is at the end of their first week. The end of their first week, and if they started on a Wednesday, it's a week, okay? It's not Friday. End of their first week, we call this the lock-in meeting. This is a little more formal, kind of similar to that first step, and this might be 15 or 20 minutes. I would recommend you have a different person do this meeting. So if the owner did the first impression meeting, maybe the ops manager does this meeting at the end of the week, or vice versa. Goals here. Again, you're going to hear a common theme. Reinforce their decision. You want to embed the positivity of the decision so much into their DNA that they're like, why would I go anywhere else? Drive that home. Okay. Now, most of this meeting is actually getting feedback from them. So we want to know some new hire feedback, such as how was our onboarding and training in the first week? There's no better person than the newest hire to tell you if your processes and bringing on new people is good or bad. Okay. Because they've got the freshest perspective of it. So you want to ask them things of like, hey, we've been doing things the same way for a really long time here. You know, how do you think we did? Was there anything that you think we could have done better this week in training you? What do we do really well? What do we not do so well? Ask for that feedback. I'd also ask about some recruiting feedback. Once you get to know them after a week, you can open up some new questions. Ask, so why did you end up taking the job in the first place? You know, why did you apply in the first place? Like, what made you think that, that might be a good job, right? Ask those things. It's almost like market research. And then finally, you want to ask for referrals. At the 1 week mark, you've now built a little bit of relationship. They've obviously stayed for a week, so you know they must like it to some extent. It's the best time to ask for referrals. And there is no better mover job candidate lead than a referral. And so, you know, things that I would ask is maybe, hey, who do you know that could be as good as you or better and that would want to work here? Or another thing you could tell them is, hey, what if I gave you $300 for every person you referred that stayed a couple months? Who would you recommend? Okay, super important. So think of that third meeting at the end of their first week of really getting feedback. Now, the fourth step is what we call decision day. And this is going to happen right around the 2 week mark or whenever they get their first paycheck. We want to attach a meeting with them getting paid. So many of our guys that work for us on the moving side come from broken homes, maybe no role models, maybe no dad. There's a lot of that. And so we've got to reestablish fundamental principles of you get what you earn. And part of doing that is you can do it with that first paycheck. So even if they do direct deposit, print that pay stub out, hand it to them, say, hey, Josh, and Ryan, I know we got a minute. Hey, Josh, I just want to give this to you in person and tell you like you did a great job this week, or you did a great job first 2 weeks. You earned this. And what we want to decide in that 2 week mark is, are they an asset, a liability, or is it to be determined? The to be determined might mean that there were some concerns. Were they late a day or two, right? And then you want to have a line in the sand right there. Hey, stop anything that's bad. And if it's seriously bad, release them from your employment. Think of that first 2 weeks as a catch and release. Okay. And last step, and then we're gonna have to wrap up with the time crunch here. But your fifth step is your 30-day onboarding assessment. Basically, after 1 month, what you're gonna do as a business leader is you're gonna yourself do a 30-day assessment without the employee, and then you're gonna have a sit-down meeting. And same thing. Are they an asset? Are they a liability? Or is it to be determined? And really, it's about, let's not keep people that are not the right people, and let's invest in the ones that are. Okay, so that's the 5 steps. Appreciate the time. Biggest
job,
issue I
Winston.
hear is retention.
No, wonderful job, man. What stands out, the 5 steps to the process, absolutely incredible. And what really stands out to me, and I think to many people in this conference, is that that phrase you made, were chosen and not hired. I think that's absolutely incredible.